to the part 2 of my cross stitch year in review. So if you haven't watched part 1, I will link it up here. Here, I think. I don't know. But if you haven't watched part 1, you may want to watch that first. Because part 1 included all the finishes from 2023. Today I have the continuation, which will be new starts and whips from 2023 that I worked on. I've already recorded the presentation and it's very long. It is very long, so guys, I don't know if you actually want to watch it. I wouldn't. It's just too long. But maybe you can watch a bit of it and take a break, or I don't know. Maybe you just want some background when you stitch on, when you do something around the house. It's going through all of the projects I touched, well, not touched, I stitched on for more than one day in 2023, which turns out is quite a lot of projects and quite a lot of things to talk about. So yes, I'm quite tired after recording all this. But I hope you enjoy it. I don't know. Can you enjoy it? I feel like nobody will enjoy it. Well, I don't know. Give it a go. See what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What was your favorite project that I've shown you? Let me know. Yeah, but I'm gonna just flip you over to my presentation. If you haven't watched part 1, that's also fine. You can watch it later. They're not really that connected. But yeah, this is a very chaotic intro. But I really want to record this intro and eat lunch because I'm so hungry, guys. I'm really hungry. And I spent like an hour, 40 minutes recording this presentation, and I am mentally drained. So I can't make a coherent introduction now to this video. I should have done it at the start, really. But I thought maybe I'll record it first and then I'll tell you guys that I've recorded it. Now I think it was a bad idea and now I'm just rambling. So, okay. let's just go ahead. I'm just gonna start the presentation and yeah, you guys enjoy if you can. And I'll see you later. Hi guys. So we're picking up back where we left off yesterday. So today I'm going to, so this is a new day. As you can see, I'm wearing a different jumper and it's another sunny day in London, but I'm recording this part of the presentation on Sunday and the first part was recorded on Saturday. So I managed to get rid of my hubby so that I can record this. So, okay, so yesterday we finished here. So we've gone through all of my finishes for 2023, and then I was going to show you all the new starts that I started in 2023, and so that's what I'm going to do now. And then after that I'm going to show you all of the other whips that I worked on in 2023. Okay, so let's get going. So the first new start, I mean, these are not actually in chronological order, which maybe is a bit unhelpful, but it took me so long to put all of this presentation together, guys, all of these figure out everything I started, everything I finished and all that. And my finishes were shown in chronological order, but my starts aren't, so you just have to put up with me. I think I started with my favorite one. So my favorite new start for 2023 was the Honey Makers by the Blackberry Rabbit. This chart is available on Fox and Rabbit Designs website, so you can find it there. And so this one I started, I believe, I'm not actually sure when I started it. I should have written this down, but I believe I started this one in summer. I have a feeling that it was started in August, so quite late in the year. So as I said, this is not in chronological order. I think I put this one first because I love this one the most. So I'm stitching this one on a Pole Stitches fabric, which is called Heartstone in 32 count. It's an even weave, and I'm stitching it mostly as it was called for, with some smaller modifications. So the chart itself includes DMC threads as well as some sparkly threads. I think there's multiple different ones. So there's a DMC, which is sparkly, there's cranique, and there's also petite treasure braid. And I also added some cranique as well to the wings to make them a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more like, I think, you know, the real wings from real bees have a little bit of sparkle in them. They're a bit like holographic kind of. So I was trying to reflect that. So I used cranique as well for the wings. And I may have, I'm not sure if I have changed any of the other colors. I think I kept the DMCs are mostly what they were charted. And I'm stitching that 2/2. So this is what I've just shown you. So what the project should look like when it's finished. And this is how far I got to this year. Okay, so this I did manage to get quite a lot of progress on this one, which I'm really, really happy about. I think it's because I'm really enjoying this project and I actually really want to finish it. And now that I look at it, you know, I kind of forgot about it in my January stitching, which I already started. I was thinking, oh, what projects I have that are close to finish that I could stitch on in January. And somehow I completely forgot about this one. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, that's the one that's probably the closest to a finish, actually. So really, I should just stitch on this one. So maybe I will. So yeah, I think I started it in August, and that's the one that I took to Poland with me in September. And I think that's the only one that I stitched on when I was over there. So that's how I managed to get quite a bit of progress on it in September. Okay, now I can see that my next one is actually probably my last start that I didn't finish in 2023. So this one I started in November, so it was really towards the end of the year. I won this chart in a raffle at the Stitch in London retreat, and I was super, super happy about winning this one because I love Kathy Barrick's patterns. She's got lovely bird charts, and I really want to stitch a few of them. And I've never actually stitched any of her bird charts before this one. So I got really excited because this is quite a new release from her, and I think it's really, really beautiful. So I started this one at the Floss Friends retreat back in November after I finished my Christmas tree. And I think I only stitched on it in November. I don't think I managed, maybe I touched on it in December, but I haven't really stitched on it since November. I'm stitching this one on that lovely Pearl Snow Iridescent 32 count Murano, and I'm stitching that only in DMCs. I think, I'm trying to think, I think the chart gives you two options. One is DMC and one is silks. I think that's the case, but I also have a feeling I may have changed something. And for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. I don't know if I changed some of the colors. I'm not so sure. But anyway, let's have a look what I have. So again, this is what the chart should look like, and this is what I have so far. I mean, it looks pretty similar, so maybe I didn't change anything. Maybe I thought about changing something and then I never did. I almost finished the bird, but I'm not very good at filling in large patches of colors. I always struggle with you know, stitching with one color for a long time. I quite like switching between different colors. So whenever I have a large patch of one color, that's always a big struggle for me. So I think I got bored with filling in the bird, and I never finished it. Now I'm thinking I'm going to a stitchy day next weekend, and I was looking for things that I have that have easy stitching. So basically things that you can just fill in one color. These are great things for a retreat or like a stitchy day. And I have one more that I just need to fill in a lot of one color, and now I have this one. So I think I should maybe take this one a stitchy day to fill in that wing and get that out of the way. I think that would really help. So anyway, so this is what it looks like so far. I'm quite happy with that progress, and really I should try and come back to this bird because I think it's a lovely, lovely chart. Okay. So then the next one, oh, oh my God, that's a trouble project. That was actually probably my first start of 2023. But it's a bit of a complicated story, and I got stuck on it. I got really stuck on it, and I think because of its size and because of the whole complicated story, I got fed up with it, and I haven't touched it in a very long time, and I haven't really made much progress on it at all. So this is Hoity Toity by Long Dog Samplers. It says ×2 and it gives you different counts and stuff. So what happened? What was the story with this project? The story was that my friend Edita stitched it, and she stitched it so beautifully. She brought it to one of the Floss Friends retreats with her, and it was just gorgeous. It was so beautiful, and I was like, oh, I so want to stitch this. So me and Justine, another stitchy friend, we said, okay, we're gonna stitch it. We're gonna stitch it together. And then we went to another retreat, and then someone suggested, oh, you should stitch it in Mrs. Seda's silks, because she's got like a silks conversion, and you can buy a set of her silks to do that. And we got quite excited. I never stitched with silks before, and I think we were both like, okay, we should try doing that. You know, that could be quite a nice thing to do. So we ordered the silks. And we decided this was going to be our 1st of January start for 2023. Well, how did that go? We both started it, and we were both not very convinced about the silks. I started it on a 36 count even weave that I got from there's a shop in I think it's a UK shop. But now I forgot what it's called. I don't know. I can try and find out later on what the shop was called. But anyway, I got this 36 count even weave, which I think is just antique white. And yeah, I tried stitching it 2/2 in Mrs. Seda's silks. But the issue was that the silks are quite different, and the conversion is quite different in color to the original DMC, which we really liked. I think I expected them to be more similar to the DMCs, like as in if it's red in the DMC, it's just going to be a different shade of red or something, but they're actually quite different colors altogether. And I wasn't convinced about them, and also the texture of the silk actually wasn't as nice to stitch with as I had hoped for. So I think I got quite frustrated with them, and then Justine also got frustrated. I think she also decided she would like to stitch it on a different count to what she had started. So in the end, neither of us made a lot of progress on it, and we were both not really enjoying it. So we both restarted it. And I restarted mine on a 32 count Murano in soft cream. I think, did Justine also start her on 32 count? I'm not so sure. I can't remember now. But anyway, and I also decided for some reason that I was going to make my own version in the end. Because why not? And I was gonna stitch it in DMCs. But in DMCs that I pick, so some of them are called for, and some of them I pick the shade that I like more. And so I've written down my conversion that I spend like a couple of hours trying to figure out how I want to stitch it. And that's all good, but I didn't get a lot of progress. Let me show you. So first of all, progress number 1, I haven't UFO'd this yet because I am kind of tempted to also try and keep stitching this version just to see how it turns out, because I feel a little bit bad. I spent a lot of money on these silks, and they are lovely bright colors as well. It's just not necessarily the colors I would have picked. But I don't know, I feel like maybe I should give them another go and just try and see how they turn out. So I haven't UFO'd this yet. It's just kind of sitting on the side. That I will maybe pick up this version at some point as well, or maybe I will just use these silks for something else. But my version number 2 is this one. So as you can see, I literally did like I don't know, it must have been a couple days worth of stitching on it, so not a lot at all. So a very, very small start. Yeah, I do like it, but somehow I think because of the whole thing, I lost my mojo on this project. I just got really frustrated with this whole like a start that wasn't really like a good start, and I don't know, I spent quite a few days on that first version, and I think I just got really frustrated in the end with the whole thing. So Hoity Toity is at the moment sitting on a back burner. I'm hoping to go back to it this year and at least like stitch on that new version of it and see how that goes. But for now, I've just been kind of doing other projects that I'm enjoying more, and I'm just, I don't know, I'll leave Hoity Toity for now and see how it goes, you know, in the future. So that's my Hoity Toity story. A bit of a sad story, but hey ho, you know, that's just life. Hopefully there will be a happy ending for Hoity Toity one day. In the meantime, Edita's almost finished her second version of Hoity Toity, and I think she did the first version in DMCs as charted, and now she's finishing the second version in the Mrs. Sedas silks. So if you'd like to see that, I think she's gonna post this on her Instagram, and she's probably gonna finish it very soon. So it's very sad also to see that she started the second version around the same time as we did, and she's almost done with it, and I have this much done. So hey ho. Okay, moving on. Okay, the next one is a bit more of a happy story. The Deepest Love by Mirabilia. That one was also inspired by my friend who sent me this chart, which is an out-of-print chart. So she gifted me that chart before Christmas, like the previous Christmas, 2022. And, you know, and that was very, very, very generous and kind of her to send me that. And she also bought a copy for herself. So we decided to also start them and stitch them together. She's finished with hers. I'm not. We started them in May. I think it was Mermay. I think it was Mermay. Something like that. You know, the hashtag that goes around May that involves stitching mermaids. So I think we were also going to do monogamous May, and I think Anne actually managed to do a monogamous May. I think I broke after 2 weeks. I think maybe 2.5 weeks. I managed to do it, and then I was like, no, I can't. I need a break. I need a different project. So I think most of the progress I got was in May, and then I think I took her to retreat with me. And then I may have stitched on her a little bit more, but I kind of lost my mojo at that point. So I only added, you know, a few stitches here and there. She stitched on a 32 count even weave in opalescent kind of blue-green sea color, which I purchased from Coffee Craft Fabrics here in the UK. Megan from Coffee Craft Fabrics, she hand dyes these lovely fabrics, and you can find her on Facebook. She's got a group on Facebook, and you can buy them there, or sometimes, you know, you can find her on retreats here in the UK, and she sells them in person. So that's how I think I got mine at one of these stitchy days, and this was actually one of my favorite ever fabrics that I had. And I'm stitching a conversion, so this is what the original one should look like, and I can show it here as well. So she's got this like greenish kind of tail, whilst I'm stitching her in purples. So I was inspired by a conversion that was posted on Facebook in the Mirabilia conversions group, but I actually modified the conversion as well, so really it's kind of a mix of that Facebook conversion as well as my own version of it. So this is what I've got. So I really have most of her tail done. Obviously I'm missing that tip of her tail, and there's like a patch that I decided to not fill in because I probably got bored with it. as usual. So maybe she's also a good candidate to take to that stitchy day to get that patch filled in. And then there's the veil, and I'm stitching the veil in white cranic, so it's quite a bit of, it's a little bit painful to stitch with, slightly, but I don't mind stitching with cranic, but it's not as nice as stitching with DMCs basically. And yeah, and then it will just be her body and her face and her hair to do after that. So oh yeah, I must have converted as well the leaves, so they're in like this sea green color rather than this green color that you can see on the picture. I adore this fabric. This fabric is such a joy to stitch on. It makes me so very happy. Yeah, so that's one reason why I love this project for us, is this fabric, which is just gorgeous. Okay, so that's her. Now what else do we have? Well, that's a silly little start, and I don't have very much on it to show. So that's a Space Unicorn Cat. I did stitch on it for a few days, I think, kind of, a little bit at a time. It's a chart from the little room in the attic, which I believe I must have started also around August. And I think, yeah, I maybe got quite a bit of, I was stitching on it in August, but then things happened and I kind of everything switched, and then I kind of left it. I actually had hanging threads all over it, so I had to tidy it up a little bit before this video, and some threads and stuff because it was just too messy to show. But there isn't a whole lot of progress on this one. I'm stitching it as is called for on a 32 count Belfast linen that I had in my stash, which is this grey with printed silvery stars, which I thought would work since it's a Space Unicorn Cat. So this is what it should look like. And this is what I have so far. It's not a great picture. This is one of these designs where you have to really add the back stitch on for it to look like anything, because actually there's a ton of back stitch on it, and without back stitch this will just look really weird. So you have to wait, guys. You have to wait for the back stitch to come to actually show you how pretty this project actually is. Also, the colors didn't come up so well in this picture. I was struggling to get a decent picture that shows the colors because there's lots of like light blues and grays, and they all just kind of blend into this one weird color thing. And there's a bit of cranic as well, which is hard to see on here. This is really not a great picture, but anyway, this is how much I got done this year of it. Then another fun project. I mean, they're all fun. But you can see I love my projects, some of my projects more than others, and for various reasons. But this is the one that I really love, but I don't have a lot of progress on. I started this one together with Lizzie from Mrs. Fisher Stitches. I think that's what her channel is called. I'm not so sure. I will try and link it below if I remember what she's called. I mean, I will remember after this video, so I will try to link her down below. And this is a kit from Lucas, which is called Aquarium, and this one was just released earlier this year, and as soon as it was released we decided we're gonna start it together. So we did, and I didn't get a lot of days stitching on this, but at least I started it, so it's not a very impressive thing to show. But I love the colors on this one. It's so colorful. The colors are so bright and rainbowy and beautiful. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing more progress on this one. I think this will be really exciting. So this one is actually not 2/2, it's 2/1 because the fabric that came with the kit is Ada. It's a 16 count Ada, which I think it's like a creamy kind of color, and it's gridded Ada as well, although I didn't really think about this when I started. My brain just ignored the grids, and then after I started it I realized I should have probably looked at the grids before I started it, so I'm not really using the grids. So that's great, but that's all okay. So let me show you. So this is what it should look like, obviously, and this is what I have. So I almost always start in the middle. So I started with that middle fish, and this is how much of that middle fish I have done so far. So yeah, it's looking all right, you know. It's a nice, you know, it's a nice start. The colors are lovely. It takes longer than maybe it should, because there's quite a bit of color changes in there. So there's a few stitches with that color, a few stitches with another color. So you really have to pay attention. You know, the chart is spread over multiple pages. It's nice and big, but the fish is actually like in the join between different pages, so you have to keep switching. And so because you're changing a lot of colors, they're not in like a patch, but they're more like spread throughout the fish, so you have to actually count, and then you have to change the page. So it's actually taking me quite a bit of time to figure out where I am and which color I'm stitching with, so it's a bit of a slow going one. Hopefully when I get out of that region of the join between the pages, then maybe it will get a bit easier. We will see. But this is what I have so far. Okay. Now that's another start from Luca S. Technically this is petite point, but I don't really understand what petite point is, because all that it's, I mean, I didn't really know. I ordered it because I was curious, I guess. And I think it was cheaper than the cross stitch kit as well, so I got curious. And I don't really understand, because the only difference I can see, based on the instruction that came with this kit, is that petite point is just half stitches. So technically it is cross stitch, you just do half of the cross. I honestly don't know if I'm understanding something wrong, but I'm just doing it in half stitches. And so I ordered this one together with the aquarium kit. So yeah, that was in summer. That must have been like July time, maybe, that I ordered both of these kits. And I really like this one because I like the colors on it. I think, I don't know, for some reason I'm attracted to this artwork. I don't know, to this lovely lady. I think she'll look really pretty when she's finished. So I ordered this one as well, and I started it straight away. So yeah, I'm doing it in 10 stitch. The fabric was like this 25 count even weave, which is also gridded. Yeah, it said it's ivory, and it said on the kit that it came with anchor threads. And so I didn't get very far. I just had a corner start on this one. So this is how far I got. So it's maybe just, you know, 2 or 3 days of stitching, and then I left it and I never really came back to it. But I think this one will stitch up quite, you know, it's a full coverage, but it's not a very big full coverage. So actually that's a nice thing, that you can see, you know, the image come to life quite quickly. So I'm hoping it will actually stitch up quite quickly once I get into it. But obviously I have so many projects that I never really get time to stitch on it. But anyway, that's where it is right now. Then I started the visitor because, so that must have been around June, yeah, June time, because there was a couple of lost tubers that were doing a stitch along. Was it 2 or 3 people? I think definitely Lala D Stitches. She's doing this one. I think she's doing it with Lisa from Lost in Stitches. And I have a feeling like Hygge Stitches, what's the channel name? Samantha from Hygge Stitches. I don't know what's the channel name, but Samantha, I think she's doing it as well, or am I getting confused? I think like they're doing it all together. So they had a SAL, the visitor SAL, and I think they also didn't get very far with it, and I kind of wanted to start it along with them, but then I think life happened and there was other things, and so I only started it, and then I kind of left it. I've been wanting to start this project forever. So a while ago, I stitched Mary Amelia's bird, which I really want to restitch, and so because I gave that one away, and I really want to stitch this one for myself, because that was actually one of my favorite projects I ever stitched, and it's a little project. It shouldn't take long to restitch, so I think I'm going to do that hopefully this year. And after I finished my Mary Amelia's bird, I really wanted to stitch another bird. There's also kind of more antique kind of design, like antique looking bird. And I found this one, and for the longest time I couldn't find out where you could buy the chart for it, because it seemed unavailable everywhere. Until I came across Fox and Rabbit floss tube. In their very first video they were showing it, and I commented, I'm like, where can I buy this chart? And they said, oh, you can buy it on our website. So I got it from Fox and Rabbit Designs. I think it's quite tricky to get a physical copy of this chart, but I think you can possibly maybe get it, sometimes maybe available on 123 Stitch, I'm not sure. But around the time when I was looking, there wasn't any physical ones you could buy anywhere. So this one I'm stitching on Belfast linen in 32 count in cream ivory, which I believe is exactly the same fabric as I stitched Mary Amelia bird on, because I really liked stitching that bird on that fabric, so I just decided to do the same. So anyways, that's the visitor. Where am I with this project? I've started on the beehive on the bee house. So I think now this chart is charted in many different kind of fancy threads. Now, if you know me, you will know that I'm not really very big on buying all those different fancy threads. I do have quite a few now in my stash. Mostly, I think they're Roxy floss. There's a few different kinds, but I don't normally really buy these fancy flosses. Most of the time I just use DMC. So again, I can't remember. I think there is a DMC option in the chart. I don't think I converted them myself, but I'm not 100% sure. If there isn't an option, a DMC option, I think I just went on some website and just kind of converted to DMC, closest alternative, basically, like a closest substitute in DMC that you can find. Because I just like DMCs. Honestly, I like DMCs. And I'm already spending too much money on my cross stitch, and if I don't really feel like I need to have the fancy thread, I don't see point of spending lots of money on it. So I just went with DMCs for this one. I stitched 2 bees and I stitched the hole and I stitched some stripes, and that's it really. And I started on a leaf. I definitely like to come back to this project this year, maybe more towards spring. I think that may come out. Yeah, maybe not just yet. Easter Dragon, that was a bunny start because he had bunny ears, and was it March? Around March, we were in the mood for bunny stitching. I don't know, everybody wanted to stitch bunnies. So I found this, there's a few of these dragons in various, like with various kind of seasons and various flowers and stuff, and they're really cute. And the designer is Natalia Casarina. I think you can get them now on my bobbin. And I only started really the ears. I think I mostly stitched just the bunny ears. There's a lot of blends in there, and there's quite a lot of color changes as well, so it's a bit of a slow one. And I was stitching other bunnies around that time too, so I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this one. I'm stitching it on 32 count even weave that I got from River Hat Designs. I wanted it to be like a spring project, so I picked this spring green fabric to stitch on. So this is where I am with it right now. Oh, so it's not even weave, it's an Aida, isn't it? It looks like an Aida. I feel like it's not even weave. I think it's an Aida that I'm stitching it on. I'm quite sure it's an Aida. So anyway, so everything was a lie on the previous slide. And now even I'm confused. What am I stitching it on? But I seem to remember it being an Aida, and it looks like an Aida. So anyways, that's it. So I just stitched that, like the part of the ears. Then clearly I got bored with one of the ears and I tried to stitch some horns. And that was it. So he's got a long way to go as well. Okay.
Hi guys, it's editing me. I realized I forgot to add one of the projects, so I'm just gonna add the images here of the slides with all the information. So the project I forgot to mention, and also by the way, I don't promise that actually I've included all of the whips, because this is the second project I realized I forgot. And this is the final time I'm editing it. So if there's any whips missing, I'm really sorry. I tried my best to gather all the information and clearly I forgot. So anyway, this actually, I'm really sorry I forgot about this one, because this is actually a whip I've quite been enjoying stitching the past few weeks. And it's a recent one, so I have no idea why I forgot it. But this is Mill Hill Santa. It's a kit by Mill Hill. It's designed, well, the artwork is by Jim Shore, and it's one of these bigger kits. I think I didn't realize how big it was when I first picked it up. I thought, oh, it's Mill Hill, so how big can it be? But actually there's quite a lot of stitching in it. Quite a lot of colors as well, lots of color changes, so it's taking a while to stitch it, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it because it's very colorful and the colors pop lovely on the fabric. So I'm stitching it on the fabric provided with the kit, which is 16 count Ada in this navy blue. And well, there's lots of reds and yellows and greens and, you know, lovely colors that are popping beautifully on this fabric. So I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying all the colors and how they come together. It's quite a nice stitch. This is where I am with it now. So I'm kind of halfway through, I would say, maybe a little bit more, maybe not, because there's also all the beads still to do. So maybe, yeah, around halfway through it. Maybe less. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it's quite a nice project to stitch on, and you know, it's Christmassy and I'm quite liking stitching Christmassy things lately, and this is one that I will definitely want to finish this year. And I also have all of the kits from this collection. So there's 4 different ones. One is this Santa, and there's also a Christmas tree, a snowman, and also a reindeer, and it's really cute. So I want to stitch them all. So once I finish this one, well, maybe not straight away, but I will want to definitely start one of the other ones as well. Yeah, so there's lots of beads in this one. There's 2 big packs of beads of various colors and sizes, and I think it's going to be quite a fun one to bead, but it's going to take a while, I think, to first finish all the stitching and then add all the beads. So don't be fooled, not all Mill Hill kits are super small. This one is actually quite a big one, and it takes a while to stitch, so don't be silly like me and think that you can finish it in a few days. Yeah, so anyway, sorry guys, I forgot to add it in earlier, but you know, I'm inserting it out so you can still see it. And I'm really sorry as well that I I forgot to move my head. This is really silly, but on the slides, after I've recorded it, I have an option to move where my head is on the slides, but I completely forgot to do it. But actually exporting the presentation took like over 2 hours, and after that I realized I forgot to move my head. So you're just gonna have to put up with my head being in that corner, sometimes overlapping a little bit of the pictures, but whenever it overlaps something significant, I will just insert a picture on top of it, which I realize it's not in many slides. In most slides it's just the fabric that I'm covering, so really you don't need to see that. So anyway, apologies guys, this video is a bit chaotic and bumpy, but I really tried to be organized. This is the best I can do. So anyway, enjoy the rest of the presentation and catch you later.
Oh, okay. And that was it really for new starts. So there wasn't so many new starts that I didn't finish. Most of the new starts, as discussed in the previous video, I finished in 2023. But there's quite a few whips that I was trying to stitch from previous years that I started previously, because I still have a big list of outstanding projects that I started either in 2022 or even in 2021 that are nowhere near being finished. Well, some of them are near being finished, but quite a few of them are quite far from being finished. So really, I have to try and go through that list of the older WIPs and try make some progress on them. So I tried, I think especially at the start of 2023, I tried to stitch on some of these older WIPs. I don't think, some of them I got quite a bit of progress on, but I think there's quite a few that I wasn't very successful. I just, for some reason, 2023, I felt more like starting new projects, and I finished quite a few of these new starts I did, but the older projects, I got some progress, but nowhere near as much as I would like to have done. Anyway, so WIP stitched on but not finished. So WIP number 1, okay, I love this WIP. This is one of the WIPs I get excited about. As you can see from my reactions probably. There are WIPs that I open, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm stitching on that. But I don't really feel a huge deal of excitement about that. And then there are WIPs that I'm like, yes, I love stitching on that one. And this is one of them. So, this is Hummingbird Pixie by Bella Filipina. And this is one of my absolutely favorite projects I've ever stitched, and I can't wait to finish her. I mean, well, this is one of these WIPs that I'm enjoying stitching so much that I don't really want to finish her just yet because I like stitching on her. But also I can't wait to see her in her full glory when she's got all the beads and she's framed, and she'll be so gorgeous. Yes. So she is stitched on a 28 count linen, like opalescent Belfast linen from Extrude Designs in this lovely opalescent peacocky green. Well, I think it's called peacock green, but it's really more like a sea green kind of color. And yeah, she's just stitched, you know, as normal 2/2 with everything as charted. Okay. So yes, so this is where she was at the start of the year. And now look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. This is a good one. Dum, da, da, da. Whoa! Isn't she just so gorgeous? So beautiful. She makes me so happy. I have her here actually in the corner because I want to pick her up sometimes. So I'm not taking her off this Q snap. This is her. She is just so beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm very, very happy with the progress I managed to get on her this year. Very, very happy. Well, last year. And she's going to be a finish this year. I'm going to do everything I can to finish her this year because I want to. That's it. This is one of my goals for 2024 is to finish her. So she's going to be finished. And I can't wait to start the beading. I think, well, I can't wait to stitch her wings because her wings are gorgeous. Like they were like rainbowy, sparkly, beautiful. And then I can't wait to start the beading. I think that will be super, super fun. Okay, next one. Well, that will be another finish. Okay, guys. Okay, so we're getting to some exciting progress. Finally, because so far this presentation, I was like, I'm getting bored of this. All the projects I started and didn't get a lot of progress on. But this one is another good one. So this is a kit by RTO. I swapped the original fabric for Pulp Stitching Aberdeen and restarted it on that fabric because I didn't really like the kit fabric so much and I wasn't enjoying stitching on it. It's a 16 count Ada in canty. No, well, I'm just sorry. My brain is just actually rethinking this. Is it really 16 count or is it 18 count? I don't know. I think it's 16, but I'm not 100% sure now. The original fabric, I believe, I don't have it here. But I believe I went up a count. When I swapped the fabric, I went up. So if the original fabric was 14 count, then my current fabric is 16. If the original was 16, then my current is 18. So I'm not so sure. The fabric color is Candy Floss. and it's stitched in, well, I think the threads are DMC threads. I think I looked it up online and it looks like they're DMC. I also added just a tiny bit of cranic to her crown and the bird and her wings, I think, but you can barely see it. So that's the problem of this project. It's actually quite hard to see it because the white, like, it's really hard on this light fabric to see the white bird and the crown and the wings. But anyway, let me show you. So this is where she was in January, and now this is where she is now. Okay. So that's quite a lot of progress, isn't it? And literally, so this is what's coming with me, I think, to the Stitchy Day. You can see all these holes in the buildings. That's all one color. The one color that I'm left to fill. And yeah, I've been avoiding this for months now. So I need to just take this one color, sit myself down, and as I'm chatting to other people at the Stitchy Retreat, I can fill in these holes and hopefully get it to the point that I just have the back stitch left to do. And that's going to be more engaging, so, you know, that's not so bad. So there's quite a lot of back stitch to do on these houses, but I think for me, I prefer doing backstitch to this filling in business because I just get bored so easily with that. So anyway, so that's something I'm hoping to do next weekend, and then just finish the backstitch, and this project will be done. Like, this project will be another finish for 2024. Okay. Now, the fruit of plenty. Oh god, that's another long story. I think I said in the last video, I don't think I'm a big project stitcher. I just like stitching small things. I think the issue with my brain is my brain likes to focus on things, but not for a very long time. So I get this drive. I'm like, I'm gonna do this thing. I get very excited about it, and I focus on it really hard for like a few days, and then my brain goes somewhere else and focuses on something else. So it's really, really hard for me to focus on a long time, or for a long time on one project. And this is a very long-term project. This one has a lot of stitching in it, and it's quite a lot of work. So I did get stuck with it, and I'm still at the stuck point at the moment. I'm sure you're all familiar with this project. There's not much explaining to do. This is the Fruit of Plenty by the Modern Folk Embroidery, which was the 2021 stitch along. And I did start it in March 2021. So the previous project I showed you, Fairy Tales Live on Roofs, this is my oldest WIP. So that when I started, that was my birthday start. I got the kit for my birthday from my mom in 2021. So that one will be now, hopefully I will finish it before my birthday this year. So yeah, that will be good actually. So it will be, so right now it's a WIP for almost 2 years, and hopefully I will finish it by my birthday in February. So then I'll get rid of my oldest WIP, and when I get rid of my oldest WIP, this will be my oldest WIP. So this is currently my second oldest WIP, which I started like a month after, so in March 2021. I was very green then. I had never stitched on linen. I had never bought a linen, and I had never really kitted a project myself. I only ever stitched kits before this one, and I decided to go on eBay, buy a piece of a 40 count raw linen and start stitching on it. And I started stitching 2/2 because I thought that's what you normally do, and to be fair, I'm very glad I did. Now looking back, I'm so happy I stitched it 2/2 because otherwise I probably would never have done. Because, you know, later on I found out from FlossTube and from my stitchy friends, you don't stitch 2/2 on 40 count linen. So probably I would have never done it. But I love stitching 2/2 on 40 count linen because if you know me, you will know. This is one thing that I realized, you know, I need to stitch things how I love to stitch them and not how other people stitch them, basically. I hear all the time from people that they love stitching with one thread of floss. That is so much easier, it's so much nicer, it looks better. I hate stitching with one thread of floss. It doesn't make me happy. It actually makes me unhappy. So why should I? And I love stitching with two threads, and I love the coverage it gives. And I love how bulky the stitches are. They kind of poke out like this. They're cute. So I love stitching 2/2, and I will continue doing so because I tried stitching 1/2, and it just really doesn't make me happy. So no. So I'm saying this year, 2024, this is another one of my goals that I wrote at the end of this presentation, is stitching what I love and stitching it how I love, and I'm not gonna worry what other people do or think about this because it's my stitching, isn't it? So anyway, after this very, very long introduction, let's have a look. So I'm stitching mine in DMC on 40 count row linen. This is where it was in January, and this is where it is now. So sadly, not a whole lot of progress. As I said, I got a bit stuck. And I think the only reason why I got stuck with it is because I keep thinking I should like really dedicate time to it, because if you just spend a day on it, you can't really see much progress. So I'm like, I have to do some substantial progress. So I have to actually dedicate, a good chunk of time to stitch on this project. And there's always some other projects that are kind of less involved, that don't require me to put that much effort and that much commitment in. So I kind of always put this one aside. And I seem to be doing this with all of my big projects. It's just kind of saying, oh no, I'll stitch it when I have a nice big chunk of time and I'm really motivated, so that I don't, I do it for quite a few days. I do lots of stitching on it. And then I just never do it. So yeah, this is something I'll have to just think about how I can motivate myself to stitch on some of these bigger projects, and get some progress in 2024. Okay. Isabella's Heart. This is another chart by Modern Folk Embroidery. And this one, I even thought about UFOing it, to be honest, because it's not one of the projects I love. But then I was looking at it this morning, because actually this is the one that I forgot to include in the original presentation. And then as I was stitching this morning, and I was listening to someone else's floss tube, and then they were talking about another project from Modern Folk. I was like, I don't think I included this one even in my presentation. So I had to go back and add the slides in for this one, because it's so forgotten that I even forgot to actually add it in here. I did try to stitch on it for a couple of days. So I'm stitching it also on 40 count linen in antique white, also 2/2. And just in DMCs, but I've picked different DMCs. I'm not sure if, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I need to restart it in different colors, or maybe I should just persevere, because I was looking at it this morning. I was like, maybe I should just pick it up now, just finish it, yeah, and get rid of it. Sorry, that's very cruel, but I feel like it's one of these projects that's hanging over my head. I'm like, what are you going to do with it? And it's like, am I going to finish it? Am I going to just not finish it? Am I going to restart it? And I just want to get rid of this problem in my head, like what to do with this project. So maybe I should just, just say, I'm just going to persevere, stitch on it for a few weeks and finish it. I don't know. Because, well, a few weeks. And it's got like 5,000 stitches left, so it's quite a bit left. So I'm not so sure what to do. So anyway, this is where it was in January. And this is where it is now. So, yeah. a bit sad on this one. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't love it. I don't love it, and I'm supposed to be stitching on stuff I love, so that's the problem. But also it's bothering me. Like, what do I do with it? So I don't know. Then I have another project from the Modern Folk Embroidery, which has a very miserable start on it. So I almost didn't stitch on it, I think, in 2023. Actually, I must have stitched, because I picked all the projects that were on my, I gave you this plot last time, and I picked all of the projects from that plot. So I must have spent at least 2 days of stitching on this project in 2023. I don't recall it, but it must have been January. This one I actually restarted, so maybe that's why, because I started it on a different fabric that I bought from not Roxy Floss, from Evertote, and it was a 36 count linen, and I started it and I was like, no, I want to go back to my favorite 32 count Murano. So I just bought some 32 count Murano off eBay and I restarted it. But I'm using Roxy Floss. I'm using very similar colors to what was recommended, just slightly different shades. So there was, I don't know. That's the thing. I have no recollection of what happened exactly. I know that my first one, I started like, I think actually on Christmas Eve, potentially I started the first version, but then I restarted it, I think just before the new year. So I possibly just, I don't know, I think maybe like I did a few stitches just before the new year and then did the rest in the new year, but I don't remember. So anyway, so I don't know what happened, but this is where I am now. Yeah. Not a lot of stitching done. This one actually I want to go back to. This one I don't feel the same way as about Isabella's Heart. This one I actually want to stitch. Maybe because it's on 32 count Murano. Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's the colors. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's both things. There's just something that doesn't sit right with me about Isabella's Heart. And now I'm thinking maybe I should restart it with different colors on 32 count. Maybe. Maybe that's what I'll do. I don't know. Right now, I have so many other things to stitch, so who knows? I will let you know what happens. Okay. Now, squirrels. Yes, so January was the squirrel month for me. We had the January squirrel sale with some stitchy friends, and we were really mostly going to sorry, my brain is ahead of what I'm saying. So when you hear these weird noises come out of my mouth, it's because I'm saying one sentence, but my brain is already thinking the next sentence, and then I'm starting to say the next sentence when I haven't finished the previous sentence. So I'm really sorry that I do that, but it's just the way my brain works. It's the same thing that happens with my stitching. I start one thing, but I'm already thinking about the next thing. Okay, so really I should have flipped the squirrels in a different order. It would be easier to say. But the idea was to do a sal stitching a squirrel from Cottage Garden samplings, which I will show you next. But I also really like this squirrel, which I already started in, I think, October 2022. So I wanted to also add this squirrel to the January squirrel sale, so I get a bit of progress on both squirrels. So I'm going to start with this one. This is a chart by the Owl Forest Embroidery. And I'm stitching it, I think, on a fabric from Coffee Craft Fabrics, which is a 36 count linen. And the fabric color, so Megan doesn't name her fabrics, so I'm just going to say it's green. It's a very kind of light green. I don't know how to describe it. And because right now you can't really, I mean you can, but it's really expensive. And anyway, it's a bit weird. Right now you can't really get easily the threads from Owl Forest Embroidery. So and because I wanted to have a little bit of variegation in the squirrel so that it's not so very boring, and like, I don't know if it wouldn't look stupid if it was stitched just in one orange, or what color would you pick? I don't know. So I decided to go with a variegated DMC color, and I think I also picked, I think I had some green from the Owl Forest Embroidery from a different that I ordered previously for a different project that I never started, and I was like, well, you don't need that much, so maybe it'll be enough for both projects. so I stole the green from a different project, and then I think I'm using another variegated DMC for these brown bits in her tail and in her foot. So anyway, let me show you. So this is where the squirrel was in January. And I just remember, I forgot to tell you something, but I'll tell you in a minute. And this is where she is now. Yes, so what I forgot to tell you is that this squirrel is stitched in a weird way. And this is because I was doing this exploration thing about stitching with one strand at the time, because I thought that's what you should be doing, so I should try stitching with one strand, and maybe the coverage will be fine, because my main issue is I like to have a really nice bright colors and I like to have good coverage. So I know a lot of people stitch on 36 count with one strand, so I said, okay, I'm gonna try that and see what it looks like. Well, I stitched her head with one strand and I was like, okay, no, 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 I don't like her. This doesn't look good. But I was too lazy to pick it out. So I thought, why don't I just add another strand on top, on the top leg of the cross. So I just went around and just did half stitches on all the stitches I've already stitched. So really now I'm stitching it like one and then twice on the other leg. So it's like the first leg is one strand and the second leg is two strands. Which means it's taking me longer to stitch it, and it's a bit annoying, and especially that I hate stitching with one strand. So that's my issue with this project, is I should have stitched it in two strands to start with, and now I'm paying for my laziness and not unplucking. I guess that the first well, I think I stitched more than her head. I think I stitched also part of her jumper, so there was quite a lot of plucking to do, and I was like, no, I'm not plucking it, I'm just gonna tweak it. So anyway, so she stitched 1.5 over 2, and she's not far, like there's not so much left on her, to be honest. So really I should get going with her as well and get her finished. She should be finished this year. I think I'm gonna want to have her finished this year. I'm not so sure about the second squirrel, but I think she will be done. I mean, I don't know if it's a she, but in Poland we call all squirrels she, so so I'm just gonna call her she. This second squirrel, gathering acorns, this is a chart from Cottage Garden Samplings. So this one, again, I was exploring stitching 1 over 2, and this time I thought, okay, I'm gonna stitch this one on 40 count, so if I do it with one strand, the coverage should be better. And it is better, and I still hate stitching with one strand. That's not changed, but it's more, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to add a strand on top. I can manage. I would prefer her to be 2 strands, but I'm just going to leave her as she is. So I'm stitching her on vintage mocha linen. And this one I'm just stitching in DMCs. So I know Cottage Garden Samplings, they usually have, some of the threads are charted DMCs and some of them are charted a different, like Gentle Arts or something. I'm just using the ones that are meant to be Gentle Arts. I'm just using DMCs. This is where she was in January, and this is where she is now. So, you know, I'm fairly happy with the progress I got on both the squirrels. If I got that much progress this year, then they would be quite far along. Hopefully the first one will be finished, and this one, I don't think I will finish her this year, because the squirrel itself, yeah, maybe that I can finish. Although there's a lot of filling in to do, isn't it? Maybe I should take her with me. See, I'm leaving all these projects that need a lot of filling in, and then I don't touch them for months because I'm scared of the filling in. But this one also has this massive basket at the bottom filled with all the acorns, that it's all like a lot of filling in, it's a lot of stitching. So I don't think she's going to be finished this year. No. Sea of Love. That's an old start. It's a small kit from MP Studio. It's just stitched on 18 count Ada that came with the kit with gamma threads. It's a small kit, but it's got a lot of color changes, a lot of blends, and somehow I just really never take it out. I think I took it with me. So we spent the New Year's in Vienna. So this project traveled with me to Vienna. So I did some stitching in there, and then I don't know, I may have touched it after that, but literally I don't think I've stitched on it since January or maybe February. I don't know. So it just doesn't come out very often. but it's a cute design. You know, I think it's really cute. So this one, this is where it was at the start of January, and this is where it is now. So I should again try and take it out for a few days and just add some stitching to it. Yeah, that would be nice. Okay. Then all feathers. That's another project I tried stitching a little bit on in February. So I was doing Peacock February. So I did try to take this one out for a few days to get some stitching done on my peacocks. So this is a design by Rosewood Manor. A fabric is printed fabric, printed Ada from Lakeside Needlecraft. And it's, I think it's called Paisley Twirl. And I think it's available in 2 colors. So I'm using this blue Paisley Twirl. And it's meant to be stitched in sulky. At the time, I didn't really know where you can buy sulky. And I was just like, I don't know, like I didn't really know what sulky was as well. So I just converted it to DMC. So I've never stitched with sulky before, and still I haven't stitched with it. So I'm just doing a DMC conversion of it, yeah, stitching it 2/1. I don't think I will stitch that thing at the bottom because I think it's weird. I don't think I'm going to put my initials in either. I'm just probably going to stitch the peacock itself, and that's it. But there's still a long way to go to worry about that. So this is where he was at the start of January, and this is where he is now. So he only got a few days of stitching in February, and I think he hasn't come out since then. The issue of this project is quite intense. You have to stitch like a few stitches with one color, finish your thread, then move on to a different color, do a few stitches, and again finish your thread. So it's very slow, so I get frustrated with it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to stitch on something that's less troublesome. I don't know. So this one may take forever to finish. I don't know. Yeah, it's not looking like it's going to happen anytime soon. Eastern Beauty. This one is another peacock, which is not as hard to stitch on as the previous peacock. But also it didn't get a lot of love. It was only stitched on in February as well for a few days, and then I put it away. Although this one I'm actually very excited about. This is one of the whips. Well, this is a kit again from Riolis. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. And this one I really love the design. I think it's beautiful. And I think it's going to look gorgeous when it's finished. So I'm really excited about stitching this one. But I haven't done a lot of stitching on it still. So this is something that I need to really get into and actually get some progress in this one. So maybe in 2024 this will happen. But again, it's a big project, so it kind of scares me. I think that's what it is. The reason why I'm not stitching on this one, because I realize how big it is. I'm like, oh, okay, I will need more time to stitch on it, so I'll leave it for later. And the later never comes. Again, same issue. And this one came with wool threads, so they're not like DMC. They're more fuzzy, and it's quite complex in a way. That's also maybe why I don't stitch on it very much, because it takes quite a lot of concentration. You have to be really careful, because on the legend, some of the stitches are done with 2 strands, some are done with 1, some of them are blended, and some of them are full cross, some of them are tens. There's a lot of different options, and just the effort of having to find out what are you doing with which color and switching between them, and I just think it's quite a lot of work. So yeah, so I don't really stitch on it very much, but I'd love to one day actually stitch it properly. But maybe I should just dedicate, you know, a chunk of time just to stitch on this project. Oh yeah, sorry, now I had to stop because I accidentally switched to the next slide. Now I have to figure out how to switch to the next one here, so sorry guys, bear with me. Okay, so where I am with Eastern Beauty is, okay, so that is where it was. Sorry, I'm struggling again. I've been talking for an hour, and this is my limit. But I want to get to the end of this presentation, so really, I just need to breathe I'll drink some. I have some leftover cold tea. I just feel like after I've been talking for a long time, I get like a frog in my throat, so it becomes really hard to talk. So breathe. So this is where this project was in January 2023, and now this is where it is now. So I did get quite a bit of progress, but I'd love to get more. Yeah. So I don't know. I have to think when I'm gonna stitch on it. I don't know. There's just too many things to stitch on. That's the problem, isn't it? But I do love this project. It's beautiful. Oh, PowerPoint is still being fussy. Right, so let me figure this out. Okay, so the next project I stitched on in 2023 was the Dreaming Girl. I think this one was started around October 2022. It's a Barbara Anna design. I think it was a stitch along at first when it was released, and it's a beautiful design. A lot of people have stitched this one, so I'm sure you've seen it around. I love it. I love these Dreaming Girls. They're really beautiful. This is my only ever whip from Barbara Anna. I think after I finish her, I would like to try stitching another one, but I don't. For now, I'm just doing this one. And I really love her. I think, again, I haven't stitched on her since February. So, yeah, there's lots of, I think at the start of the year, I stitched on some of these older whips, and then I moved on to new starts, and I never really went back to stitching on my older whips later on in the year. So that was the issue. So this one is stitched on 32 count even weave from River Hat Designs, and the fabric color is called Lagoon Depths. It's really like a lovely light blue color. So let me show you. This is where I was at the start of the year. So she was just this headless, weird looking thing. And this is where I am with her now. So she's got a face. She's got a face. I'd love to finish her this year. I think this is one of the projects that will get finished in 2024. I would like to attach some charms in where her hair is going like this, and she's got like these acorns and leaves hanging down. I bought some little charms to attach as well. I'd love to just try and play with that. And also a key. She's got I think quite a few of her designs have this key hanging from her ear, so I'd love to also attach a charm as a key. I think I stole that idea from Yasmin's Made with Love. I think she did it for her Dreaming Girl, and I really love that. So that's what I'm gonna do. I think I changed her shirt color from I think it was originally dark brown, and I just wanted it to have a bit more contrast, so I changed it to white. Then Seize the Day. That's a design from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. So this one I barely stitched on this year. Again, it just got maybe 2-3 days of stitching when I took it with me on holiday. When we went to Mallorca, I took a couple of these summery projects, and I just got it like maybe 2 or 3 days on each of them. So this is one of them. This is stitched on Fabric Flare Ada in 16 count, and the color is Snow and Buff. Sorry, I'm trying to maintain my ability to speak. It's getting really hard, but we don't have, I think we're getting near the end, so I'm going to try and persevere. And so this one, I'll just quickly show you. And this is where I was with it in January. And this is where I am with it now. So there's quite a bit of progress. I'm actually wondering if maybe in January I had more done. Because it doesn't feel like I stitched that much on it. I feel like I already had the boat. So I feel like possibly my January picture is wrong. But I couldn't find a more recent picture of it. So that's the most recent one I found. So anyway, I definitely stitched the treasure box this year. That wasn't there for sure. I'm not so entirely sure if the boat wasn't there already. I can't remember. But anyway, this is where it is now. I am not in a rush to finish this one. If it comes out this year, I will probably add again just a few motifs. I highly doubt I will finish it this year. It's very unlikely. But it's one of these projects that's nice to pick up from time to time. It's quite easy to stitch on. I think it's like a nice holiday stitch. So maybe this will be my summer holiday stitch. You know, when you go to the beach and when you stay in a hotel by the sea, this is something that's quite nice to stitch on. So maybe that's the kind of project it will be. Okay, so lighthouse and hot air balloon, and that's my second holiday project. This is a full coverage project, so this one I should really stitch more than just on holidays, or otherwise I'm going to be stitching it for the rest of my life and possibly never finish it. It's a design from Vivsters. They have two versions available to buy on their website, and I picked the smaller one only because I figured at least I have a chance of finishing it. If I pick the bigger one, probably I never will. I wanted to stitch this one in full cross 2/1 on 18 count Ada because I thought it would look really nice. I don't do very many full coverages, but any other full coverage that I've started so far or that I'm hoping to start, I do in 10 stitch and on higher counts because they tend to be very large. This one is smaller full coverage. I think it's like 200 by 300 stitches. And so I thought, okay, this one I will do in full cross and I will do it on Ada. So it's stitched on 18 count. And it's just an easy grid Ada. I really love this design and I think it will look very cute when it's finished with all the colors, and it's such a lovely, nice, bright holiday design. I love Vivsters designs. They're really pretty and really nice to look at, and I think they will look beautiful stitched up. So this is something I'd love to spend some time stitching, more than just on holiday, but it just hasn't happened yet in a long time, really. So where I got to, PowerPoint issues again. So this is where I was with this project in January, and this is what I stitched. So this was only stitched over holiday. So I guess you can get quite a bit of progress on it fairly quickly for the reason that there's a lot of block stitching. And I like this kind of block stitching because it's not, like, you still get to change between colors, and the blocks are not so big that you get bored midway through the block, you know, most of the time. Because I think that's my issue with a lot of time. When you have a large area to fill in, you have to spend a really long time filling it in. But here, these blocks, you know, maybe you spend an hour and you're done with a block, or maybe less. Like these blocks around the border, they're quite small. So you just spend maybe 20 minutes and then you move on to another color. So there's still a bit of variation. So this one you can get quite a lot of progress done quite quickly because I really just spent a couple of days on it, but there's quite a bit of progress. So yeah, so I'd love to spend some more time on it this year, maybe closer to the summer though. I think it's more like a summery project, isn't it? So yeah, we will see. We're almost at the end, guys. I had a sneak peek because because I had to stop again. I made a mistake, you know, and when you're recording this on PowerPoint, if you stop, like if you make a mistake, you can't go back. So then you have to stop it, and then it all gets messed up. So, but we're almost there, so we're persevere. We're gonna get there. So I just have a couple of projects left to show you guys. This one I showed you quite recently, and this one I picked up in November. And I was hoping to finish it by Christmas, but I think I didn't quite realize how much stitching I still had left to do. And then I think if I didn't have any other projects, I would have finished it by Christmas, but I had a lot of small projects I wanted to stitch for Christmas, so I put this one aside and I said, this one I'm going to finish in 2024. I really want to finish it this year. This is my first and only, well, my first. I do have another thing started from Joanne Elliott, but this is my very first thing I started from Joanne Elliott. I'm stitching it on fabric that I think previously I told you this one is from Coffee Craft Fabrics, but I actually remember it's actually from Stitchy Ferret, and I got it at the Floss Friends retreat. It was meant to come with another chart, but I just bought it because I like the fabric and I used it for this one. It's this lovely opalescent light blue fabric. It's beautiful. I'm really, really happy. Like I love stitching on opalescent blues. They just make me really, really happy. I think it's 28 count. And I'm just stitching it as charted, with exception, oh yeah, I should have written it down, I forgot, that I'm using Whisper, so I'm using some Prenique as well in her wings, I think, but I'm also using Whisper thread. Someone suggested it on one of my videos previously, sorry, I really can't remember who it was, but one of my viewers suggested that I could try using Whisper thread for her, like, you know, these fluffy bits on her dress. So like around her collar and her sleeve. So that's what I'm doing. But it's quite, I'm not a fan of Whisper thread. It's quite painful. And that's actually why I forgot to tell you in the bumblebees. And my very, very first whip I showed you, which you probably now don't remember, the honey makers. I made the bumblebees fuzzy by using black Whisper thread. But yeah, I should have told you that. This was kind of important. Because that was one of the changes I made to the project, was to make them fuzzy so that they look like real bees. But I'll show you, you know, I'll finish this project soon, so I'll do like a proper video when I finish it, and then I can show you all of these things, all my fuzzy bees and all that. For now, I'll show you my angel, where it is. So back in January, this is where she was, and this is where she is now. So there's quite a bit of progress done on her. The Christmas tree is done, except there's still gaps left for the beads. So she'll be beaded at the end, but I'm leaving that for after the cross stitch is complete. As you can see, I haven't completed the Whisper thread bits. I only did the collar, and then I left the rest blank. And still I have to finish the bottom of her dress and her wings. So there's still quite a lot of stitching actually left to do. So much more probably than I originally thought. she doesn't come. It's not. It takes much longer than you think. Basically, I did some of the snowflakes around her. I think I did them in like silver Prenique. I'm not sure if I think they charted in gold, but I did them in silver. I can't quite remember for sure. I'll have to have a closer look at her. But again, this is something when I show you to her on the video, we can go into all those details. But right now, I just wanted to focus on showing you the progress I've made. And then the last project, which I didn't touch until the very end of the year. So technically, it wasn't a whip until like literally maybe 28th or 29th of December that I decided, okay, I'm going to stitch on this now. Wisdom. This is a chart by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Tom Allen. And this is technically full coverage, but technically it isn't, because the background is not stitched. I don't know if there is a version with background. I think this is the only version there is. So I think this is the only one. But basically, I just really love this chart, and it reminds me of me and my mom. I don't know. I think because we both really like owls, and I don't know. There's just something that gives me like this warm feeling inside me when I look at this image. And you know what, I was home for Christmas and I was doing all the small stitching, but I somehow around Christmas time, there's always when I feel like, oh, I should stitch a full coverage piece, you know. I really want to stitch something big, some height or something. And you know, and I was thinking, I haven't touched any, for the whole of 2023, I haven't touched any of my full coverage pieces. So I started some, you know, I had some very sad starts on full coverage pieces, and I had one that I finished a page on, so that was my biggest progress on full coverage, but I haven't touched this one either. And then I got to the end of the year, and that was one of my thoughts for the end of the year. It's like I'd love to try and stitch a full coverage, you know, more consistently, just to give it a go. It may turn out that I just don't like stitching them. Maybe that's what it is. you know, but I want to try. And I thought, well, first of all, I'd like to maybe it's better if it's a smaller one so that I don't get as overwhelmed and I can see progress and maybe finish it. Like maybe there's a prospect of me actually finishing it. But also I was thinking which ones I feel really like I really want to stitch them. And for some reason this one came coming back to me. And I know it's not a full coverage because it doesn't have a background, but it is a height. So it's quite involved. There's a lot of stitching in it and a lot of color changes, and it's quite confetti heavy. So I thought, well, that could be maybe the haze that I will try to work consistently on throughout the next year. So I picked this one and I straight away started stitching on it at the end of the year. And I did manage to get some progress. So I'm stitching it on a 28 count even weave from Pole Stitches. Which is in color Daybreak, which basically to me looks like a cloudy sky. So I thought that was nice for this one. So let me show you. At the start of the year, this is where it was. Well, this is where it was on the 28th of December. And this is what it is now. Well, actually now I've got more stitching on it. So this is what it was as of 31st of December. So the nice thing about this one, it only has like 43,000 stitches in it, which is only because for height that's nothing. So it's actually doable. And I'm stitching it in 10 stitch, so it goes quite fast. So actually, if I consistently stitched on it throughout the year, I could actually see quite a lot of progress on it. So that's what I would like to try and do. And it's quite nice to start seeing these owls come to life. So I'm going to try and have my first height. You know, I'm probably not going to finish it this year, maybe, but it depends how the year goes. It's possible, but I wouldn't say I definitely will do it. Maybe by some chance I would do it, but probably not. But it could be next year's finish. It could be my first ever height finish, which would be very exciting. So I will try. I will give it a go. Let's see how it goes. I can't promise anything, but I will at least try. Okay. And this is it for my whips I worked on. There is one definite UFO. So as you know, there are some whips I haven't stitched on at all in 2023. Some of them I definitely want to stitch. One of the ones that I literally only touched for like an hour, so I didn't even include it in the presentation, was one of my favorite whips. I realized I haven't stitched on it for the whole year. There's another one, lady. So the one I'm talking about is Fairy Flora. That one got like an hour of stitching in the whole year. So there's no progress basically on it. This one. So very sad year for Fairy Flora. I want to finish her this year. This is one of my goals for this year. So she's definitely coming out very soon. Another one I haven't even touched. Lady Halloween. One of my favorite whips again. Not a day, not an hour even of stitching. I didn't stitch on my full coverage Aquarius at all. That's the one that I finished the page on and then just didn't stitch on it for a year at all. There's others that are maybe more, there's probably some other ones that I like that I haven't stitched on, but also there are some whips that I have that I haven't stitched on and I'm not so sure if I will. So we will have to see. For now, I'm not going to go through the whips that are just sitting there not being stitched on because I can show, if I stitch on them, I will show them to you in future. And if I don't stitch on them, there's not much point showing them to you. I will show you this one because I think this one is a nice story. So this one was one of those whips that were sitting in my basket and I wasn't stitching on them and I wasn't really wanting to stitch on them. It's a monochromatic tree well, that's the thing, the shop doesn't really exist anymore that I know of. And this was bought on Etsy in the shop called Cross Stitch Row, R-O, but that shop doesn't exist anymore. And as far as I'm aware, you can't get this chart anywhere else right now. I really loved it originally, but I wanted to try stitching it over one, and it was painful. is monochromatic, and one thing I realized about myself is as much as I like looking at monochromatic pieces, I do not enjoy stitching them. Because again, I like changing colors. I like to stitch with one color and then already think, what color am I going to stitch with next? I love seeing colors come together. That's something that really gives me joy about stitching. So stitching with only one color takes that element away completely, and I end up just being, I stitch with this one color, and then I'm like, okay, what project am I gonna stitch on next, because this is really boring. And yeah, stitching with one color just doesn't make me happy. That's it, full stop. So I may just not be able to ever complete a big monochromatic piece, and I'm coming to terms with that this is just the way it is for me. But I love to look at them. So what happened with this whip, Tina, she kept asking me about it. Have you stitched on it? How's it going? I'm like, no. And so eventually I'm like, Tina, well, maybe she asked me, I can't remember who asked who, but eventually basically we decided my chart goes to Tina, and not my whip, because that was rubbish anyway, it wasn't going well. So Tina started her own, but the chart was adopted by Tina. And so Tina, you can find her on Instagram as Monogamous Stitcher, and you can see her finish there, but I'm actually going to show you. I hope she doesn't mind. No, she won't mind. So yes, chart no longer available. A lot of people ask about this chart, but yeah, we just can't find it anywhere else. So this is Tina's finish. So she adopted it. She adopted the chart in, I think it was summer. Like, I think it was Floss Friends Retreat in May, end of May, and then she started it soon after that, and she's already finished it, and it looks gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful chart, or beautiful stitching. So well done, Tina. That's looking amazing. And I'm really glad that that's how the story ended for this project. Because otherwise I would have been a little bit sad about it, but now I'm not sad anymore that I'm not stitching on it, because someone else gave it love and someone else finished it for me. So that's really kind of the end of this. I don't really make plans as such. I just set myself some very vague goals and I will try to follow them in 2024, but there's not a strict plan for me this year or ever, really, because I don't follow through with my plans. So it's just really sad making them if I know I'm not going to actually get them done. So more generic goals. I would like to, in 2024, stitch on less projects, but get more progress on them. And mostly I'm referring, there's a lot of whips I showed you here that are quite large whips that I got really small progress on. So there was a high number of them, but not a lot of progress on each of them. And I'd rather show you less, but with more progress next year. So I think I'm going to pick a few that I really like and just try and get a lot of progress on them. More stitching on older whips. Because again, as I said, 2023 was a year for starting and finishing newer whips, but not so much for stitching on the old ones. So now I want to go back, finish some of the older ones, and some of the older, bigger ones, at least get some nice, decent progress on. It's not good. I've got a lot of old whips left, so I'm not gonna. Again, I want to stitch on less projects but more progress. So it's quite likely that this year there'll be quite a few whips that are not going to get touched. But I'd like to pick a few I really like, get quite a bit of progress, or even finish them, so that I have less of these older whips, or at least they'd be closer to finishing by the end of the year. So that's a goal. Work consistently on the Hade, I already mentioned this one. So yes, I picked Wisdom by Tom Allen, and I hope that by the end of the year I will be quite close to finishing it. Finish my first Mirabilia Fairy Flora, which didn't get stitched on almost at all last year, so she's gonna have to come out, and I really want to finish her this year. And finish my first Bella Filipina, Hummingbird Pixie. She is definitely, this is one of my top goals, top goal this year. Finish Bella Filipina and Hummingbird Pixie. So looking forward to this one. And one thing that came out of, at the end of the year, I did a lot of stitching on these small Christmas things. And I really enjoyed it. Guys, I really enjoyed it. More than I thought I would. And I realized, well, maybe that's the thing. I struggle with the big projects, but I love the small projects so much. And, I gave away all these things I liked so much, the smaller projects. And I think what I'd like to do throughout 2024 is stitch some small things for myself, like some small ornaments, but even they don't have to be smalls that are Christmas smalls. I mean, I'd love to restitch some of these Christmas smalls for myself that I stitched in December. But also I'd love to just stitch some small things to hang around, just like, maybe some Mill Hill kits, or like a small something, just for me, not to give away, just for myself. Because I feel like with these smalls, we do them for smalls exchange, we do them for Christmas, or for like a gift for someone. And for me, I never really keep them for myself, and now I feel like I'm missing out. So that's what I'd like to do throughout the year, is stitch some small, cute things for me. Of course, also I may stitch some for someone else as well, but that's not. I think the whole point of this goal is to actually do something for myself, and to enjoy this, just not for the sake of making a gift, but just for the sake of stitching on it and then keeping it after. And that's the final point, stitch on what I love and how I love. So yes, so I'm quite a new stitcher. I started stitching properly at the start of 2021. That was really my entry into stitching. So it's been 2 years since I started, this is literally, we're coming now to 2 years from when I started stitching. So I've been trying a lot of things. As you can see, I've done a variety of things. And I think this is a good thing that I've done it, because in the process, I'm learning about myself and what I like and what works for me and also what doesn't work for me. And so some things that I really learned about myself. I love 32 count Murano, clearly. We've all seen it over and over. Makes me happy. I love stitching with 2 strands of floss. I hate stitching with 1 strand of floss. So why make myself stitch with 1 strand of floss when I love stitching with 2 strands? Unless I really have to, I will avoid it at all costs. What else? Well, should I really stitch on a project because I think that I should stitch on a project? Like, because I've not stitched on it for a long time, because, I don't know, because maybe people tell me, you should stitch on that project. I don't know. Sometimes I think I stitch on something because I think I should, but actually I think I should just stitch on the things I love. And I should stitch on the things I want to stitch at the time. And I'm like, I'm really drawn to this project, so it doesn't matter that I'm thinking I should be stitching on something else, like because there's reasons why I should be stitching. No, I'm gonna this year, this is another thing, doing stuff for myself, right, is stitching on stuff that makes me happy at the time, whatever it is. I don't care, but not because I feel like I started something so I have to stitch on it. No, we're gonna do things slightly differently. We're gonna do it more being mindful of, because in the end, why I do stitching is to make myself happier, to keep my mental health in good shape, to relax, to enjoy myself. And in the end, I have to remember that that's why I do it. So if I started something and I don't love it anymore, that's okay. I don't have to finish it, or I don't have to stitch on it if I really don't feel like it's making me happy. Or maybe I should just restart it and do it a different way. And yeah, I've already spent so many days on it, but if it's not making me happy, then why keep doing it? So anyway, there's just some thoughts, at the end of this video, that I've had, and some just generic goals that I wanted to keep for next year. And I think this is really it. I think this has been much longer than it should have been. Again, I thought this video was going to be less than an hour, and oh my goodness. I'm so tired, guys. And I need lunch. I'm hungry, so I'm gonna stop now. So, thank you all so much for watching this video, this very long video. I hope you didn't get too bored, because I kind of did. So I'm thinking if I got bored, I mean, I didn't get bored with showing it to you. I got bored with all the whips that I have very little progress on, and I got frustrated. I hope you didn't get as frustrated as me with it. I hope you enjoyed watching it, if you're still there. And I hope that you will come back to my future videos. As I said, I don't quite know how often they will show, but I would like to do some more floss tube style videos. Maybe like I don't want to commit to like a specific, you know, it's going to be every month or every whatever. No, so they will come when they come, I think. Let's just say for now. And I will try to keep them organized and show you my finishes and whips throughout the year. And I'm going to try and keep really good track of them this year, even better than last year, so that, you know, we can really see the progress together and track it together, and I think that will be really fun. Okay, so on that note, I wish you all guys a very, very happy 2024. I hope it's going to be a wonderful year for you, filled with lots of crafty, fun projects, lots of love, lots of joy, lots of happy moments, and yeah, all the success and all the good health and all the good things. And I hope to see you around. And for now, I'm just going to say bye-bye. Have a lovely day, a lovely night, wherever you are in the world. And I see you next time. Bye.